Hey guys, welcome back to our continuing coverage of CE Week 2014 in New York City.
New York? These guys have made it to New York. I'm a native here.
You are indeed.
I'm Michael Artsis.
I'm John P.
I'm so excited about this. We've got a great guest.
We do indeed.
So these people our Geek Beaters have to log on to geekbeat.tv/live to join the chat room. geekbeat.tv/CE Week to catch anything they missed as an archive.
That is indeed true, and you may want to jump in on the chat room here right now because we're going to have a conversation with Joe about technology in general, right?
Right, absolutely.
So, have you ever seen more technology laid out in one spot?
It's sad that I have.
I bet you have. Joe, you're the reviews editor for TechRadar, right?
Yes,
So
I am.
tell me, does that mean your job in life is to play with the toys?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, so my job mostly is to oversee all reviews that come out of TechRadar US before they hit live.
So that could be
a lot of fun.
a lot of different people doing the reviews,
Yes.
and they funnel through you for approval, etc.
Right.
So does that mean, because unfortunately we have an editor-in-chief named Dave Peterson, and Dave does some reviews, but he spends most of his time overseeing what the rest of us do when we're playing with the gadgets. Do you get enough hands-on time with the gadgets yourself?
Absolutely. I cover most, if not all, the New York events here. Most of our team is out in San Francisco. I do get my fair share of fun. Absolutely. My specialty is in laptops, desktops, Windows-based machines. That's where my specialty lies. So I get a lot of time with all the latest laptops and Windows tablets, stuff like that. A very exciting scene right now, considering what's happening with hybrids and detachables and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And in fact, I noticed you brought a gadget goodie. Goodget. I just made up a new word. It's a gadget.
Yes.
It's a goodie. It's a goodget.
It's a goodget. It's a goodget. Instead of a widget, it's a goodget.
That's right.
Now, the Surface has always taken a lot of flack, not being ready for prime time, not being the right device, not giving enough features, not having a plentiful enough app store. You've got the Surface 3, and you're saying this is completely different. This is the game changer from Windows.
I do.
From Microsoft.
I think, we at TechRadar have actually, taken Microsoft to task on previous iterations of Surface Pro and Surface. But with Surface Pro 2, they got much closer. Still some problems there. It was full Windows. Here, it's still full Windows, but now you got Intel Core inside, which is a huge. I mean, that seems like a small thing, but
it's not.
For the capability of the device, it's huge.
Right.
The usability issue, right? It's like the previous iterations of the CPUs and these things were just too sluggish to run real apps.
Yeah. So now you have Haswell in here, i3 through i7. This is the i5 model that just hit the market last Friday for $799. And there's just vast improvements across the board, right? You got a 12-inch screen.
i7 in that is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, i5 is great, but i7 is ridiculous. That's what we have on our MacBook, on our Mac iMacs, our MacBook Airs, our even other computers to do video editing on. So now you're talking about the same processor in here.
And it's also extremely thin, right? I mean, from the side.
Can you show us a side view real quick? And it's still got that kickstand. It also has a USB slot as well. Is that correct?
USB 3.
USB 3.
And then display port, and a micro SD card.
At some point, you look at these things and you think, how do they even? I mean, the processor itself is a certain thickness. How do they make that so thin? It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, Panos Panay, the leader of the Surface team, at the event, went through a whole list of, engineering changes in the device. This isn't a fanless device. There is a fan inside.
Oh, it is.
Wow.
Is that? Does the fan vent out of all these little holes all around the edges?
Exactly.
So it's just kind of in there pushing, and it's just kind of dissipating everywhere.
Right. And because I think largely it's because I think Intel Core would be tough in a fanless design.
That's true.
So here it's they bumped the screen to 12 inches.
And what about the resolution on the screen?
I believe offhand 2160 by 1440.
Oh wow,
which is
pretty high.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I know this sounds silly, but the keyboard's been improved upon a lot.
Absolutely.
I can see that
right
now.
absolutely. just to be clear, I personally
bring this a little closer to me, if you don't mind.
I personally have been a skeptic of this whole hybrid category for a long time. I think this here is the closest example of what is possible in that category.
What can you do on this? Can you do Photoshop or
it's
some
full Windows.
Premiere?
Yeah, it's full Windows 8.1. It's not RT or anything like that. With as has been in previous Pro models, but you can run any Windows program that's compatible with Windows 8 through desktop mode, and then what is available on the Windows Store, which is it's getting there. It's not quite on par. I think when you categorize this as a tablet versus a laptop, it's definitely more capable as a laptop, given that it's full Windows. I think one of the only things keeping it from being a full tablet is the availability of apps.
Yeah, and to be honest, on the Windows 8 platform, most of the apps that I want are there. I mean, all the major service providers are represented. It's just that you don't have the variety of developers going at it at the smaller ones, you know. But there's still fun stuff. There's like a Where's My Water kind of games, and there's all kinds of stuff like that. So how does the keyboard attach to that particular unit?
Right, so it's magnetized.
Oh, it's just a magnet.
Wow. Yep, just a magnet. It's just a cover, really. It draws power from this connection. But the improvement here is that the previous Surface Pro the keyboard was completely flat.
It was really flat.
Yeah, it was very flat. Now what
weird
they've done
to type
is
on.
Exactly,
very weird.
especially in your lap.
Yeah.
So here they've magnetized this portion of the cover here, and they've magnetized the bezel, so it goes like
nice,
that.
And it stays on pretty solid.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't have a front. It has a front camera. Does it have a back camera as well?
Yeah, I believe offhand they're both 5 megapixels.
And can you side load content and programs and stuff?
You mean through USB?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
excellent. I love that you have the USB in there. I wish that other tablets had that.
Yeah, and that's what that's one of the pieces here that bridges that gap, right, between tablet and laptop.
So that's the new Microsoft Surface Pro. I just got, Acer sent me this for review, and this is pretty neat. It's got a different type of convertible methodology, right? Yeah. But still magnetic, which I was surprised because in the past, and I don't really specialize in the Windows type laptops and tablets, but some of the other ones that I've seen, when the top detaches, you maybe push a button and it releases some little hinges or something. This one, you just grab it and you just kind of pull up.
Yeah.
And it comes right out. And then it, like that one, it seems to have a series of, I guess these are the contact points. I don't know where the magnets are, but when you get it nearby, I mean, it really wants to just snap it in there.
Yeah.
And it's very secure.
Right.
So what's your feeling about, this one has the harder kind of keyboard and maybe a slightly more secure docking method. What's your feeling, having used a lot of these, between that kind of keyboard and this one?
Right. So I categorize these as these hybrids as this would be a tablet first approach.
Yeah.
Where it's very much the device, the innards, it's all tablet.
Right.
With the laptop capability with the processor, and it only becomes a laptop with this keyboard, which isn't included in the price.
Oh yeah.
This is a separate accessory.
Okay.
I think that's like the one blunder, in my opinion.
Yeah.
On Microsoft's behalf, is that
should be included.
It makes it gets so close to that vision, and it's nothing without it.
Well, I think in the public size, that's their biggest differentiator, and then they don't give it to you.
Yeah.
And it's a high price point for a tablet without that. I think that these are both pretty cool. This one is insane, John.
Yeah. Well, it's really tiny. You know, it's a smaller screen than that one. This one's like a 10-inch.
I think it's a 10-1.
10-1 and 12-inch.
But that almost feels
nowhere
too
near
big.
the resolution either.
No, I think that's 1080 offhand.
Something like that.
But that almost feels too big for a tablet. If you're going to use it as a tablet,
it depends. It depends on what type of device. So how do you see people using them? Like, do people buy these types of convertible devices to use as work devices, or more as consumption devices?
I think that's the huge hurdle. Generally speaking, for hybrids is, do people really need a device that can do both? I've reviewed a lot of hybrids, and I've continually come up against that wall of, I can't find enough use cases for it as a tablet or as a laptop or both. I think in the case of this specifically, it is a little large for a tablet. It's one of the biggest out there. In portrait mode, I think it's way easier because of the way it's oriented. It's also the aspect ratio is 3:2 instead of 16:9 or 4:3, which is interesting. They claim it gives you more content area. It can display more content than a 16:9 in a similar size. I haven't
because
had the
it's
chance
a
to test
little
that,
bit
but
wider.
Yeah.
The Android tablets, specifically something like the Samsung Galaxy Tab 8, does the same kind of thing. It's depending on how you want to look at it. If you're holding it in your hand, it's narrow and very long.
Right.
And when you turn it sideways, it is interesting because, if you're looking at a web page, you get more width, which means they can make the letters and things look bigger, which is easier to read. But then again, you only get this much of it on the screen. It feels like I'm always scrolling, so I don't really know if it helps that much or not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is interesting, and definitely I've experienced that too. One thing to me is, and I don't know, and I don't mean to criticize how you use it or treat the gadgets, but it seems like it's scratched up a lot, and that would drive me crazy. I know you got fingerprints on it, but kind of down there, do you think that do you feel the screen is good enough or good quality enough that you're not scratching it up?
I haven't noticed too many. I got one
It could just be because we got really harsh lights on it.
I mean,
that's
that's true, but I'm a fanatic about that. And
keeping the screen as quality as possible. Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of, across the board, I think there are a lot of improvements that can be made to these screens. I mean, there's a lot being done there, but I don't think we're quite there yet. That we're interacting with these screens all the time.
Right.
They say sapphire glass is the next thing.
Yeah,
but it's extremely expensive.
Yeah, I was going to say that'll be $2,000 more.
Just for the screen.
You
know how much a sapphire crystal watch costs? It doubles the price of a watch just for that one piece.
So, I'd love to ditch the laptop. I personally don't think we're there yet, but I think we're close.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's the closest. Would you agree, or you?
I do, absolutely. I think a lot of it was the improvements to the keyboard. It's way sturdier, way firmer. The touchpad actually clicks now, which is a huge improvement. The keys offer deeper travel. It's punchier.
Does the trackpad actually track well?
It does, yes. It has a few issues with multi-touch, and I think those could be fixed in a firmware update.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's one slight issue. It wasn't enough for me to knock it, I don't think. But yeah, I'm smitten with this thing. And then of course you have the
stylus.
The stylus here, which is great for artists. I don't have a lot to say about that because I'm not an artist. My workload exists within Chrome,
Joe,
day to day.
Joe, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's great to see this, and it's very exciting. For John, I'm Michael here at CE Week for GeekBeat TV. Check us out, geekbeat.tv/CE Week. We'll be back right after this with a whole lot more coverage.
Stay tuned.